This is the new Citroen C5 Aircross, and it's a little bit like some scatter cushions in the way that it's supposed to be all cool and trendy, yet very, very comfy for your family. And I'll just put those on there. Thing is though, it doesn't actually cost too much like these cheap scatter cushions, which are actually mine. So it starts from £23,000, but you can save almost £3,000 on one through CarWow. Now, if you want to see how much you should be paying for a new car and check that you're getting a good deal, click on the pop-out banner in the top right-hand corner of the screen, or just follow the link below the video to go to CarWow, or just simply Google CarWow to check out the deals there. Let's kick off this review by talking about the styling, because it's quite a distinctive machine, this C5 Aircross. For instance, you've got these 3D rear light effects. As standard, you get the roof bars, gets these side air bumps, and when you match in the different roof colours, body colours and air bump colours, there's like 30 different combinations. Now at the front, it does that thing that Citroen does where it has the daytime running lights above the normal headlights, which is upside down, but it kind of works and looks quite cool. Now the car is more distinctive than the alternatives such as the Hyundai Tucson and the Skoda Karoq, though I don't think it's quite as good looking as the Peugeot 3008, which it actually shares many of its parts with. Now on the inside, well, fortunately, it is just as stylish. It's got that typical French Citroen-y character to it. So you've got like square effects all over the place on the air vents there as well. Soft touch on there and soft touch on the top here. This area here feels nice and it's solid as well. And here, these armrests, all good. Then there's other bits which are super cheap and nasty, such as this strap effect here on the dash. In terms of getting comfortable though, yeah, I can't complain too much. The seating position is pretty good. There's enough headroom for if you're tall. You can get a good view out over the bonnet because it's not too high, and there is sufficient adjustment in the steering wheel as well. So that's all good. And generally storage is good as well. So huge door bins. Look at that. That's a 1.5 litre bottle and then another little bottle behind it. There's a huge pad area there for your mobile phone, and it has wireless charging, so you'll be able to fit the biggest Samsung Galaxy Note in there as well, no problem. You've got a couple of cup holders there, and they will hold a large and small coffee cup like that as well, which is good. And if I go under here, look at this. Oh look, it's one of my scatter cushions again, lovely. That is a huge storage area under there. So that is all impressive, and I quite like the gear selector as well, the optional automatic gearbox. In fact, that brings me on to the car specification. So let's talk about the kit. The C5 Aircross range kicks off with the Feel version, and that gets, as standard, an 8-inch touchscreen, dual zone climate control. It also includes Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so you can hook your phone up to it, and a digital driver's display, which is pretty cool considering this is the entry-level model. There's also rear parking sensors and auto emergency braking. Flare models add a bit more style, such as LED indicators, you've got tinted back windows and 18-inch alloy wheels. It also adds front parking sensors and a reversing camera with surround view. There's also special part leather comfort seats with electrical adjustment, some snazzy metallic scuff plates, and there's TomTom satellite navigation for the infotainment system built in. Flare Plus models get active cruise control, which can keep you a safe gap from the car in front and will automatically steer to keep you in lane on the motorway. And there's also 19-inch alloy wheels, keyless entry with hands-free operation for the tailgate. See? Finally, it gets luxury headrests which you can move, and if you want full leather interior, well, that's optional. Now then, we need to talk about the car's infotainment system. So the screen itself isn't the largest out there, but it's an alright size, and the definition, it's not the sharpest either. Bigger problem though, it's not particularly responsive. It takes ages to do anything. In fact, actually boot up the screen first thing in the morning, you're waiting for blooming ever for it to actually wake up. In terms of navigating through the menus, it is reasonably easy to do, but they could do with more colour to make them easy to read at a glance when you're driving. There is a row of touch-sensitive shortcut keys, but they're harder to use than ordinary buttons. Also, when it comes to programming the sat-nav, the keyboard isn't laid out like a normal QWERTY keyboard, and that means it can take a while to actually add in a waypoint. Having said that though, you can just press the voice command button and just input an address using speech if you want to. It also takes ages to calculate the route. What is really frustrating for me though is that if you want to access the fan speed or the temperature control, you have to press this button first and then do it on the screen. I'd much rather just be able to twist a dial. What I'm less frustrated with though is the digital driver's display. In fact, it's very good. It's nice and clear. You can scroll through different views. You can have widescreen sat nav if you want to. A bit annoyingly though, you can't see a lot of the car's functions, so you do have to refer back to the normal infotainment screen. Overall, I would say that the system, the infotainment system that you get in something like a Skoda Karoq is slightly better. And if you click up there on the pop-out bar in the top right-hand corner of the screen, you can see my full in-depth video review of that car to make sure that you don't think this one is better than that one. It's worth checking out. Okay, so what's also worth checking out? Back seat, so let's do it. Now, this is supposed to be a super comfortable, practical family car. First thing to note is that knee room, it is okay. It's not brilliant, but it is okay, and you can put your feet under the seats in front a little bit if you wanted. The big news here though is this, look. You can slide each chair individually. So you can do that. You can also recline them individually as well. And you're going to want to do that because headroom here in the back isn't particularly great. Look, if I sit up tall, there we go, I can fit just about that much space between my head and the roof. It is made worse by the fact that this one, actually I'll just do it, has the panoramic glass roof. So if you're thinking about carrying taller adults in the back regularly, you may want to think about not having that as an option. So if you need to carry 3 people at once, do you know what? Because you've got flat floor, there's plenty of space for everyone's feet. And the body is quite wide, so shoulder room is all right. The issue is that people in the outer seats, they get pushed to the side slightly, and the way the side part of the roof curls up means they'll be bashing their head against that. The person in the middle, with their individual seat, will be more than happy enough. And in fact, headroom is better here in the middle, so that's good. What's not so great though is this, that the rear windows don't go all the way down, but at least they are nice and large. The coat hook is so small and fragile, it might break. Also the location of it, it means that if you want to put a coat and someone's in the back, it's going to be brushing against them. They should be there really. The reading light is also slightly behind you, so you have to hold your book like that. Nice one, Citroen. Another thing that's a little bit frustrating is this, look, there is but one USB charger here, so 3 seats, you can fight over that USB charger. Still, if you want to store your iPad, there's some nice strong nets here in the seat backs. And if you want to carry longer items with 2 people in the back, there you go. You can just fold down the whole middle seat. Loads of space. You can fit a snowboard through there. If you want to carry babies, well, there's some even more good news. You see, the ISOFIX points are easy to get to. Also, there's plenty of space here in the back to manoeuvre a seat into place. And because the car's nice and wide, you can actually carry 2 child seats and there's still enough space for someone to sit in the middle seat. And that is really unusual. Great if you want to take the kids along and granny in the back as well. Now, let's move on to the boot. So, this C5 Aircross actually has one of the biggest boots for this kind of car. It has a volume capacity of 720 litres, which might not mean that much to you. So I'll illustrate it now by saying it's 144 of these 5-litre bottles, okay? It's about 15% larger than the boot on a Volkswagen Tiguan and about 20% larger than the boot on a Peugeot 3008. So look at it, absolutely huge, loads and loads of space in there. For instance, you can fit 2 large and 2 small suitcases under the load cover. Also, you'll be able to fit a baby bug in there, no problem at all. And there's plenty of space for a couple of sets of golf clubs as well. Now, you might think there's a bit of a load lip to lift stuff over, which would be bad, but don't worry about that because, of course, look, you have a riseable boot floor, which means there is no load lip at all anymore. In terms of other functionality, there's some storage areas here and here. A couple of tie-down points if you need to tie down a hostage or something. You've got a 12-volt socket there, so you could charge a drinks cooler. And then if you want to carry more stuff, yeah, you do have to walk round to lower the seats, but it's quite easy to do once you're around here. Then you get a fairly flat load floor, which makes it dead easy, look, once again, to slide stuff to the front. Now with the seats folded, there's space for a bike with both wheels attached. You can even fit in 3 large boxes across the back seats along with 3 small boxes. Then there's space left over for 6 small boxes and 2 small suitcases. So yes, this is an extremely practical family car.
However, this car isn't perfect. Here's 5 annoying things about it.
The blind for the optional panoramic glass roof, well, the material it's made out of is just so kind of saggy and loose. Look at that. It's as though it's been made out of your nan's old knickers. This car may well be trying to look like an SUV, but it is front-wheel drive only, so don't try taking it off-road. In classic Citroen style, the glove box on UK cars is tiny because the fuse box is there. They didn't bother to move it across with the steering wheel, so all you can fit in there really is a coffee cup. No space for the manual. There are some horrendous, tacky fake vents on this car. Look at this, one here. That goes nowhere, pointless and ugly. And then there's the false exhaust pipe. Look, that doesn't go anywhere, pointless and ugly. It looks as though you'll be able to fit all of the two-piece parcel shaft underneath the false floor. There's even some little cutouts there, which make you think they're designed for this part here, but you put it all together and try and make it fit, it never does.
Thankfully, this car has plenty of cool features to help make up for all this. Here's 5.
There's ISOFIX anchor points on the front passenger seat, so you can fit a baby in here if you want. I want my mummy. This car is fitted with some special cushions in the suspension so that if it bottoms out over a big bump, it doesn't give you a jolt, it's still cushioning, and that means that they can fit softer suspension than normal for a generally smoother ride for most of the time. The doors extend all the way down to the lower part of the body, so when they get covered in dirt and you open them, the sill on the inside is still clean, so when you get in and out, you won't dirty your fashionable light coloured trousers. You can get an integrated dash cam here, just behind the rear view mirror, so if you have an accident or somebody is filming you illegally, you can press a button and it'll record the action so you can report them to the police. You can get front windows with double glazing, which helps keep the noise out and keep it nice and peaceful here. You can get the C5 Aircross with a choice of 4 engines, but there's only 2 you really need to know about. So if you're mainly driving in town, the 1.2 litre 3-cylinder turbo petrol is good enough. It's fairly nippy, absolutely fine. If you're doing longer journeys, the 1.5 litre diesel would do you good as well, because it's economical and it's reasonably quick as well. Now, if you want more performance, faster engine, there is a 2 litre turbo diesel and there's also a 1.6 turbo petrol, which are pretty quick, but they're unnecessary and they are rather expensive. For instance, this car, it has the 2 litre diesel, also got the automatic gearbox, and you've got the range topping Flare Plus, and yeah, the total price, it comes to £33,000. However, I put the details into CarWow's configurator and I got an offer back from one of our reputable dealers for £29,500, so a saving of around £3,500. So wouldn't buy that car, but definitely if you want to check that the price you're being offered is fair, click on the pop-out banner in the top right hand corner of the screen or follow the link below the video to go to CarWow and check out our deals there. Now it's time to see what this big Citroen is like to drive. So that raised driving position gives you a good view out forward over other traffic, so you can spot the potholes and dodge them. And even if you don't dodge them, it's not too bad. You do get a thump through the suspension a little bit. Actually, when you come to a patchy road, even though it doesn't feel sharp when you go over the rougher surfaces, the car's body does fidget about a little bit. It's not the most settled over a bumpy surface, but it's fine. Right, and let's see what this C5 Aircross is like to park. Now, the first thing to note is that when you brake suddenly, this thing dives worse than a French footballer in the penalty box. Does help that this model is the automatic, because it's easier to just drive in town, of course, though the manual shift is nice and easy and the clutch is light as well. So, see what else is light? The steering, blimey, that is really light steering. That is good for this kind of manoeuvre. I wish that door mirror automatically lowered so I could see the curb though. I am relying heavily on the cameras. Visibility is all right because I'm sat up high, but the view out the back window isn't great, and the car is quite square and quite bulky. Into the slot. Not too much problem at all with that. Easy does it. Now I do want to show you something that isn't so great. So, if you pull forwards, let's say, and then you just stop, and then you want to do another manoeuvre and you go to rely on the surround view camera, you'll see that it isn't drawn in because it doesn't actually have surround cameras. It fudges it using the front and rear cameras. So if I needed to do a manoeuvre now and look around me, I can't. Watch this, it has to draw in the image. So it's remembering what the rear camera saw and using the computer to remember it. So it's not the best surround view system. Right, and let's check out the manoeuvrability. So the turning circle of this car isn't quite as good as on something like a Peugeot 3008, but I've managed to make it round this roundabout all right. So it's not too bad. Actually, while we're talking about it, if you want to check out my full in-depth review of the Peugeot 3008, click on the pop-out banner just up there in the top right corner of the screen, or the link below the video to go check it out. This Citroen is absolutely brilliant for on the motorway. So the seats are super comfy, it's super relaxing, it's very quiet as well. It's ace. I love it. I really do. How about the acceleration though? If you need to overtake someone, so here we go, 50 miles an hour. Gearbox wasn't the quickest to kick down, but now it's going, and this diesel is punchy, so that was 70 then. In terms of economy, yeah, around 40 miles per gallon, which is all right. Where this C5 is not so all right though, is on a twisty road, because that soft suspension means that it just kind of leans and rolls around in the corners and has all the poise of an inebriated hippo. In fact, if you drive this thing too fast down a weaving country road, your kids are going to be getting car sick pretty quickly. The super light steering doesn't help either, because you can't really feel any connection to the road. There is a sport button though, ooh, and when you press that, what you get is a fake engine noise being played through the speakers. Even though it's a diesel, I mean, what's the point of that? Doesn't make the steering really feel any sharper or the handling, it's just pointless. I mean, a sport button on this thing is as pointless as a sport button on your slippers. Now, if you're thinking about buying a Citroen C5 Aircross, click on the pop-out banner just up there in the top right corner of the screen, or follow the link below the video to go to carwow, and we'll help you get a good deal. So then what's my verdict on this car? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should shortlist the Citroen C5 Aircross. You know, it's a cool, quirky, comfy, practical family car, and it's good value for money. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give us a thumbs up. If you didn't, still give us one anyway. And if you agree with my verdict, let me know in the comments below, and make sure you're subscribed to this channel and hit the bell icon to turn your notifications on so you're alerted when we make a new upload. If you want to watch my detailed review of the Volkswagen Tiguan, click that box down there. Or if you want to see my video group test of some cool SUVs, it's the box just down there. And if you want to see the best deals on the Citroen C5 Aircross, click on the box over there to make sure you're paying a fair price.